Hello everyone, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well on this Monday. Today we're going to be doing a wheel stream, so the wheel is going to decide what we do, but more importantly, you're going to decide what's on the wheel. We're in the middle of a hype train right now, we're at 22% of level 2. Thank you everyone for all the stuff you've been doing. JodyGirl78, thanks for subscribing for 5 months. Prime038 says, one of the best parts of Hannah Reloaded is the opening music. Oh, that's great. It's all downhill from here, then. The pressure's off. Bumble Homestead, thank you for gifting a sub. RTK142, thank you for subscribing for 4 months. Says 4 months down. Sorry I wasn't able to make it to the anniversary stream yesterday. Happy belated Hanniversary. Well, thank you. It was fun. I think we're going to do Jackbot games occasionally on here. Just because I think that's a fun time. Not often or anything, but, you know. Towing24, thank you for subscribing for 13 months. Says, Wheel of Hannah, turn, turn, turn. Tell us the form of dumbass we shall watch. Oh, you gotta make it rhyme. You gotta make it rhyme. Wheel of Hannah, turn, turn, turn. Show us the dumbass from which we will learn. I don't know. Rhyme. MMO Addicted with 20 bits says, hey, Hannah, did we end up doing that makeup Patreon stream this month, and did I miss it, or haven't we? My memory's been effing with me. We did do the first makeup stream early in the month, and then this upcoming Sunday will be the normal Patreon-only live stream for the month. So. RTK142 with 20 bits says, that's awesome to hear. Jackbox is awesome. Yeah. Alright, so what are we putting on the wheel today? Someone recommends fake psychics ghosts. Should those be what? Okay, we'll put psychics or ghosts as one. MGTOW. Aliens. I don't know if I'll be able to find something on aliens. But we could probably find it, because there was that, like, UFO disclosure thing recently. PragerU. Okay, Prager, you can go. Karens. Oops. Oh, shoot. Karen. Everything is terrible. Sure. That's a YouTube channel for those who don't know. We're at 26% of the level 2 hype train with 1.5 minutes left. Don't let it die. D&D horror stories. Okay. I'm just randomly grabbing these for the record. Bob Larson. I feel like that would go under Psychics Ghosts. So I'll say Psychics Ghosts or Bob. Wow! Oh no, Robert Morley with Jesus Christ! With 10,000 bits. That's a lot of bits. Bringing us single-handedly to the level 5 hype train, 142%. Says, wowzers. Your bits sugar daddy is here for you. Always enjoy the show. Thanks for all you do. Well, thank you so much for supporting the show. I appreciate it. You borderline need a producer role at this point. Jesus, thank you. I really, really appreciate it. RTK142 says, Danzy is punishment. We looked at Danzy yesterday. I don't want to do Danzy today. Retro PSAs. Okay. PSAs. Nerdy chuds? Let's say, we'll call them media chuds. That's usually what I call them. Like the quartering and stuff. Anything else? So far we have psychics or ghosts or exorcisms. MGTOW, aliens, PragerU, Karens, everything is terrible, D&D horror stories, PSAs, and media chuds. Von Tuck says Terrence Pop. Okay. Terrence Pop. Towing24 says Sovereign Sit and or Sausage Guy. Okay. Sov Sit. Jake Paul. I don't know anything about Jake Paul. Like, I wouldn't even know what videos to watch, but I guess I'll put it on there, sure. Cults? Okay. Thank you, Baha. Targeted individuals. Tate hasn't done anything good recently. I mean, you know, good in terms of good for content. He's just done boring stuff recently. I can just put conspiracy in general, sure. And just let me pick whatever conspiracy stuff. KBS666, thank you for subscribing with Prime. We have aliens on there. Actual Jake videos? No. Nature deniers. I actually do know one person who thinks trees aren't real, so we can probably find that video. Doyle hasn't done anything recently, sorry. Street preachers? Okay. Mike Max says, have you heard about the side effects of the vaccine is having on teens? Can't wait for the Chud's reaction to Marvel Eternals trailer. I have not heard about the side effects. And why would they react? What about the Eternals? Just because they're like a diverse group of people? Sort of? Okay, that's probably enough choices for now. We could always add more later if we wanted, but I think that's a lot of choices, so... Wow, look at that wheel. That is a stuffed wheel right there, okay? You couldn't fit more. We can fit so many dumbasses on this thing. Thunk thunk, or whatever that meme said. That is a thick wheel. Dense with stupidity. Alright. I guess we should just get to it. Shut up, sexy electro swing music. I don't need you anymore. This is my show. Okay. D&D horror stories. This should be good. Even if you don't like D&D or haven't played it, D&D horror stories can usually be pretty good. One second, I'm just trying to pick a good one. I'll go with this top one, the Ultimate Edgelord. Mike Max says, some teens are having myocarditis. Myocarditis, what's that? Thank you, Baha.
Kunik here, back with a few D&D horror stories for you today. In today's stories, we have two different instances of things to avoid at your tables. In the first story, we have a dungeon master that has some really interesting house rules. And in the second story, we have a player application to join a campaign that is incredibly sus. So with that all said, let's roll for initiative and begin the story.
It's so funny to me.
Story number 1.
I know words enter the lexicon pretty weirdly sometimes, but I do like that sus basically became part of the regular vernacular because of one video game. One game that's just popularized because of streaming, and all of a sudden everyone says sus. Is Peter still isopropiling? He did email me back about that, and he said, yeah, you're probably right. And he also said we should do another discussion, which I said, yeah, sometime next month. Let me know when you're free. Mike Mack says, inflammation on the middle layer of the heart wall, myocarditis, is usually caused by a viral infection. A severe case can weaken the heart, which can lead to heart failure, abnormal heartbeat, and sudden death. Yikes. That's not good.
The secret list of house rules. Here's a minor rant about a GM who had a ton of house rules, but didn't write them down. Attacks of opportunity. tons more stuff provokes attacks of opportunity. What things exactly? You don't know until an attack of opportunity is provoked upon you. And you don't get to take attacks of opportunity unless you call out that you do so when the opportunity arises.
I mean, it's pretty clear when you can take attacks of opportunity. There are other things, but the main one is if, like, an enemy doesn't evade or whatever, or have some class feature, and they walk away from you if you're within 5 feet of each other, typically, right? You can use the disengage action. Some classes can use a free disengage action, but, like, if an enemy moves away from another enemy, you can usually get an attack of opportunity on them. If you don't know what an attack of opportunity is because you don't play D&D, basically the idea is in combat situations you have maps that you're looking at usually from the top down, and it's sort of like a battle mini game. Mini game isn't even the right answer. A lot of people play D&D for the battle, which is interesting considering I think that's the weakest part of D&D. Although I like it. It's enjoyable. I like the roleplay and the, collective storytelling with the friends and all that stuff. But anyway, when you're on the board, there are spaces, and each space is 5 feet square. So if you're within 5 feet of someone, you're basically engaged with them. And if you move away from them or attempt to move away from them without disengaging, then they can get a free attack on you when you move away. Normally you attack in turns. It's turn-based. If, like Pokemon, I guess, if you're kind of, someone who isn't into this kind of stuff, one person goes and then the other person goes, and there's sort of a list of which order people go in. So they get a free attack even though it's not their turn if you move away.
Here are some examples. Moving into a threatened square instead of out of it. Drawing weapons. Checking inventory. Use a skill such as diplomacy or intimidation.
Have I explored any more narrative-based tabletop RPGs? I've only ever played 5e.
Intimidation. Activating command word magic items.
From what I've heard, basically 5e is a good initiation to tabletop, and it's sort of a jack of all trades in that there's a lot of things you can do with it. But there are different games that are better for specific kinds of gameplay. Like, there are tabletop RPGs that are very focused on the combat and the dynamics of that, and they do the combat better than 5e, and there are other ones that do sort of role-playing and stuff a little bit better than 5e. But if you want a good overall rounded experience and an intro to tabletop RPGs, 5e is a good place to start. RTK142 says, what is it in metric countries, I wonder? 2 meters? That's a good question. I actually don't know.
Taking longer than 15 seconds in real-life time to decide what to do on your...
Amazing Physicist says, what do you mean role-playing? I thought Hannah Reloaded was just the professor D&D'ing you and role-playing a Twitch streamer. That's true. My magic spaceship is actually just over there. This is fun, but I gotta get back to adventuring sometime.
Round. Banned spells. Some spells are banned. You don't get to know what they are until you try to cast them.
That's incredibly stupid. See, to me it feels like that DM probably just wants to suit every single combat scenario to whatever they feel like at the time. So they don't want to give you a list of just, here are the spells I don't think are fair, so here are the spells you can't. They want to contextually in the situation tell you you can't do that because it ruins whatever their air quote plan is, which is incredibly stupid.
Spells include all, save or die, teleport, polymorph, summon creatures.
Wait, hold on. Teleport. Teleport isn't allowed? Teleport's already like a 7th level spell. By the time you can get teleport, how do I put this? It's okay to homebrew, and I mean, at the end of the day, it's these people's game, and, they can do whatever they want. But teleport, by the time you get it, it's like relieving, right? It's a reward if you're a magic user that can do teleport, because your party, if you choose to use that 7th level slot for the day, or however many slots you happen to have, I think the professor, we just made level 20. We've been playing the campaign for like 4 years, and it's ending in the next month or so. The professor has, even the professor at level 20, I think has maybe 2 level 7 slots. It might be 1. I haven't actually leveled up my sheet yet, which I have to, because we're playing Wednesday. So, teleport's a high-level spell, So if you're using it, then strategically, you're telling your party, okay, I'm not going to have a 7th level spell for today, or higher if you have 8th and 9th level spells, but we're going to get to skip some traversal, because usually there are rules for traversal. Like, oh, you're going miles and miles to a different city, and you have to sort of navigate that and watch out for enemies, or whatever bullshit thing. Teleport, instantaneous, right? But it's a high-level spell, and that's the balance. Xandris says, or Xandris subscribes, rather, with 13 months, says, let's spin that wheel. Mike Mack says, funny how MTG believes in the Holocaust because she believes in Jewish space lasers, because people like her don't believe in one of these things is real. She's just out there. Vulpes Redtail, thanks for subscribing for 7 months, says, hello Hannah, it's been a while since I caught you live. I can only watch for so long before I have to start my shift. Hope you have a good day and stream. Thank you.
Most illusions, and a random assortment of divinations. GM didn't want us to win a fight, except through the combat he envisioned in his mind. He didn't want us to get to the destination except by going through his obstacle course. My foolish sorcerer took teleport as soon as he could. When we were ambushed en route, I tried to teleport the group back to safety. The spell failed, and I lost my turn. GM told me to not prepare that spell anymore, and it took me 3 weeks in real life time that he should let me pick a different 5th level spell to learn instead of teleport.
That's stupid. This DM sucks. Oh yeah, what were the other spells? Polymorph? I missed Bits messages? I'm sorry. Let me go back. MMO Addicted says, we in metric countries are capable of using feet, as well as more often than not we use 5 feet. If someone does use metric, it's rounded to 1.5 meters. Oh, okay, interesting. RTK142 says, does that make Baja your companion? She's closer to my, oh god, she would hate this comparison, River Song. She's not a fan of River Song. Pyromancer says, can't wait for Marjorie Taylor Greene to fade from the limelight and stop ruining the MTG acronym. Yeah.
Some spell effects have changed. What spells? I don't know. What changes? It's not clear. One time, a fellow player's character's arm was chopped off, and Regenerate was changed so that it no longer regenerates lost limbs.
That's like the whole point! What? That's like the point of that spell!
The GM made his character slowly develop a baby arm for the next 6 months of sessions.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Look, if you want to do like a gag or something, and in your universe, you want it to slowly happen over the course of maybe even an in-game week, I don't know, which might be 1 or 2 sessions, that might be kind of funny. But again, if I were to even try and do something like that, it would be for the sake of ahaha, kind of funny, interesting situation. Maybe it takes an in-game day to grow the arm. So yeah, you're still kind of missing an arm for a day, but after a day it'll grow and there's sort of an awkward period where you're dealing with a baby arm. But 6 months of real-life sessions? That sounds awful. Why even try and actually grow the arm back? Kirthan says, this is super yikes. Even running pre-made modules, you gotta be ready and able to adapt to your players' wants and actions. I ran Curse of Strahd and invented an entire cat side quest on the spot because that's what my players wanted to pursue. Yeah. You gotta be, you can't set out a path and expect them to go down that path exactly as you expected. Like, improv and being able to make stuff up on the spot is a huge skill in DMing. Not everyone's gonna, be the best at that, and I understand that, and that doesn't mean you can't DM. I'm just saying it's best to be flexible. You know what I mean? If you're railroading your players, they're probably not gonna have a super great time. Or they might. Every group's different, but a lot of groups, I think, enjoy, making their own choices, since that's a huge part of the whole RPG thing. MMO Addicted says, better yet, many of the metric designed games use a 1 meter per square scale, which makes transitioning between them difficult. Interesting. RTK says, how can you not like River Song? Well, she doesn't like the 11th Doctor, so I think a lot of it has to do with that. Tucker White says, I'm not sober right now, so what am I looking at, Hannah? You're looking at bad D&D stories.
You know Mind Blank? the spell that explicitly states that only a wish or miracle can bypass its effects. He one time pretended I didn't have the spell active, duration 24 hours, and then that it was too late to take it back because what was done was done. I was contesting this as it happened. Supplemental books allowed, only the ones that the GM owns in person. Since this is an online game, we don't have the option to peruse his collection. He won't tell us what source books he owns. If he owns a book...
What is all this, like, crypto bullshit? Just tell them. Tell them what the Look, I understand that you want certain things behind the DM screen to not... How do I put this? You don't necessarily want to show how the sausage is made, you know what I mean? It kind of ruins the magic of it if you're like, well, I just made up that NPC on the spot, and, you know, I whatever. You know, I get it. But you need to have clear expectations and rules, otherwise the game falls apart. I'm not saying you need to, like, be a rules, whatever, like be way too strict on the rules, but what I'm saying is there needs to be understood expectations back and forth between the DM and the players, otherwise the whole dynamic just breaks apart. Wabajack, thank you for following. RTK142 says, okay, that's fair, Matt Smith Doctor was kinda silly. I speak baby, I speak horse, that was nonsense. See, the 11th Doctor's actually one of my favorite Doctors, and Baja hates him, so it's rough. MMO Addicted says, last session of my Warhammer campaign, it was revealed that the wife of the teacher of one of the characters was a cultist, and in the words of her possessed servant, she was the house, having melded together and infected the manor and started developing a root system around the city. Best creepiest part was revealing that the ornate bathing room of the house was literally one of its giant maws that it used to consume tons of human flesh. Ooh, I love that. Tucker White says, Crypto, is this D&D campaign powered by Ethereum?
But doesn't know where it is, then you can't use that material. He doesn't look for things if you ask him to. His general attitude is that the player's hand...
Daddy Sume says, in one of the few times I've DM'd, I basically had to make an entire session on the fly because my group made some incredibly stupid decisions and basically murdered all the people who were trying to help them uncover a conspiracy. I basically had to come up with an entire new avenue of the conspiracy and a whole smorgasbord of NPCs on the spot. Yeah, at some point if you DM, you're gonna have to do something like that, so be prepared. Unless you want to railroad real hard. I mean, that's your call. But my philosophy is basically... say yes as often as possible as long as it's not completely game-breaking, because it's a game, and games should be fun, you know? It's got to have structure and rules to make it function, but you should be able to say yes most of the time as long as your players aren't absolutely ridiculous and want to completely break the game. Mike Mack says, imagine they do a superior Spider-Man story arc with the Doctor and the Valeyard. I mean, that's kind of what the Valeyard wanted. He wanted to steal the Doctor's regenerations, so... It's kind of like stealing a body. Stealing future bodies.
The book is for the players, and everything else is for the GM and the GM...
Hey, Sushi Mom, how you doing?
...him alone. Some retcons allowed. Occasionally, he'd decide that he didn't like the direction we had taken, and will sometimes retcon up to 3 sessions to not have happened.
Oh, that's
disgusting. He takes us back to when we made the first decision.
Honestly, like, the first time that happened, I'd be out. I'd be like, why are we even playing then? Just sit us down and read us the book you want to write if you don't like how this game is going. Why are we even playing? Pyromancer says, I cast Magic Missile on the 4th wall. RTK142 says, the 4th wall has force resistance. It's fine. RTK142 says, I side with Baja and the hating Matt Smith Doctor. I try not to use numbers because war is not a number. Hurt should be 9. I always just consider him a different thing. I really wish they had called him almost a different thing. Just like, oh, he's the warrior. The Doctor went by the warrior in this incarnation because he didn't want to be the Doctor or something. It complicates the numbering, but, you know, it's whatever.
With. Then have us take the option he wanted us to take.
As a GM, Kippy says, as a GM, my experience has been the best way to herd those cats is to look your player directly in the eye and ask, are you sure?
Take all along. Cinematics. We've all been players who had a chance to strike as the villain monologues. You take it. When the idiot is distracted, smelling their own farts, you initiate the combat with a surprise round in your party's favor. In this dude's game, if anyone was monologuing, you weren't allowed to do anything because cinematics. Sometimes he would use cinematics to lead the party into a trap. Against
RTK142 says, okay, see, now that I would be okay with. I don't know what that was.
our will. Sometimes he makes decisions for our characters during the course of a cinematic. The worst offense was when we finally found the boss of the current arc, some devil who made their base in the former courthouse of the town. We arrive. Cue cinematic. The party attempts to get the drop several times, but combat cannot initiate. Then, during the course of the cinematic, had the party walk into a pitfall. Total party kills as a plot device. When you want the party to know you mean business, or they aren't going where you want them to, or if they say something out of character that you don't like, consider a TPK. Easy and cheap, TPKs can be achieved at any level, from 1 all the way to 20. Nothing carries forward the momentum of a fun adventure like being surprised with Cloud Kill at level 3.
Oh gosh, what's Cloud Kill do? Is it just toxic and it's a high level spell? 5th level Conjuration. You create a 20-foot radius sphere of poisonous yellow-green fog centered on a point you choose within range. That fog spreads around corners. It lasts for the duration or until a strong wind disperses the fog, ending the spell. Its area is heavily obscured. When a creature enters the spell's area for the first time on a turn or starts its turn there, the creature must make a Constitution saving throw. The creature takes 5d8 poison damage. Yep. Level 3, you would die. Very quickly.
And when the party wakes up, they owe their life to whoever revived them. It's the perfect plot-driving mechanism.
That's awful, and I hate it.
Yeah, it sounds like the OP stuck with this GM for quite a while, and honestly, I don't see why. This is the GM that has main character syndrome while they're the GM. They want to dictate and run the campaign how they want to run it, and not let the players make any sort of meaningful decision on their own. So he's effectively telling the story that he wants to tell with zero to little interaction with the people at the table.
That's... Okay, guys, if you're gonna DM, I understand that when you DM, and I'm not coming here from like an expert point of view, I've only DM'd a handful of times, but I've played in Jake's campaign for 4 years now, roughly, okay? So I have experience with D&D, at least enough to talk about it at this level, right? If you want to write shitty fan fiction or your shitty fantasy novel, or even a good fantasy novel, that's fine, go do that. The players are there to play a game. They're there to interact with each other as their characters. They're there to have an effect on the world and sort of choose their own adventure. They're not there because you have some fantasy epic, right, that you're going to impart to them, right? It's collaborative. There's a back and forth. You provide framework and the world and the enemies, and then the players sort of dictate where all those pieces go. No one wants to sit down and have you read them your shitty fan fiction. And even if they're original characters, it still feels like fan fiction. Because most people are not accomplished authors. Most people are not, you know, top-tier storytellers. We're all just doing our best, okay? Have some fun. You know, it's cool to have your plot hooks that you like and stuff, but keep them there. They're hooks. They're not the whole thing. MMO Addicted says, thanks. They're going to delve into the house this weekend Thursday, and I have so many body horror descriptors prepared for them. Fun.
In my opinion, he should either switch to being a player, or just go and write a novel. It seems like that's what he really wants to do anyhow. Alright, onwards to story number 2. Only got his application, but a player submitted an application for a game I was DMing a while back, and I wish I had saved it, somehow. Looking back, I'm curious just how bad he would have been as a player, but I'd never punish my players like that. Let's see how many red flags you can spot. So, he starts off with his half-elf's noble childhood. 3 long paragraphs about life in the mansion and how happy he was with his parents. All irrelevant. since he was about to lose all of it before his backstory concludes. He was willing to give actual character details on his father, but his
Tucker White says, pro tip, if you as the DM stifle the player's fun and strictly adhere to your storyline, don't be surprised when they actively derail your campaign just to spite you. Yeah, Jake and some of the other people, actually I think all of the people from the campaign Charisma Saves that, you know, we stream here on Twitch, which is a good time. It's fun. If you like D&D, check it out. It's almost, season 1 is almost done, or rather campaign 1 is almost done in the next month, and then we're going to start campaign 2 in a little while. We do that over on actual Jake's channel. Anyway, the other players from that campaign were part of a different campaign DM'd by someone else. So Jake was a player, Sarah was a player, Alex was a player, I think Randy was a player, and there were some other people that I don't really know, and I wasn't part of that campaign because, you know, it's a different... I know friends in that friend group, but I didn't know the DM, and one or two D&D things a week is good for me. I don't need any more. Introvert. Anyway, the DM there, I guess, was railroading them absolutely constantly. So, Jake and Sarah and them basically went out of their way to try and fuck up the campaign at all times. Like, they would try and just break out of the railroading because he was so intent on putting them in very specific situations and forcing them into different places. And it was just interesting when they would describe it to me, like the lengths that this DM would go to contort the story back on track to where he wanted it to go. Frustrating. Is that the game with that creepy guy who kept harassing Sarah? Yeah, I think so. Eventually, they got rid of that DM and Jake took over DMing that campaign and retcon stuff. Not without the consent of the players. All the players agreed. They rolled back the clock a certain amount of time on the campaign, and then Jake just took over as the DM, and now they're still doing that campaign. So, and I think they enjoy it, from what I hear. So that's great. Power move. Yeah, he basically, they mutinied and took over the campaign because they liked the characters and stuff. Adia Blue says, java.lang.error, unexpected path, players making decisions. The DM was not the creep, to my knowledge. That was a different player, I think.
beautiful mother only got physical descriptions. Funny that. It was in the 4th paragraph that we got to the night. His father had been gone for days. He'd often be gone for weeks on business, but he was gone for really long.
I was a businessman doing business. RTK142 says, so I play a level 7 high elf knowledge cleric now. We're in a war. We came across the enemy that has some of our soldiers as prisoners. I was going to negotiate, but the rogue attacked the archer and started the fight. 2 prisoners died. I only had 1 diamond on me. My cleric was livid with the rogue for not giving her a chance to negotiate. That's rogues. It's not time to negotiate. It's time to stab things.
On this night, 2 men barged into the house that he didn't recognize. But I quickly recognized...
Wait, what happened? I guess I was not paying attention enough to the video. Tucker White says, are we reading a Yuri Hentai Doujin? I recognize I recognize 2 of those words. Hentai and Doujin. I don't know what the first word means.
them as the mayor and my father's business rival. Did you recognize them or not? Even more confusing, because he then says his mother smuggled him out of the house.
Ah, lesbian hentai. I think you guys actually told me that once. I forgot. Sorry.
Before they barged in. So, how did he know who they were? How did she know they were in trouble before barging in? And if his PC was out of the house, how did he know they raped and murdered my beautiful mother?
Yikes. It's generally not great. Here's a good tip. Do you need to put sexual assault in your campaign? 99.9% of the time, the answer is absolutely not, and you certainly should never ever do it without bringing it up to the table like, hey, is this a theme that you're okay with being in this campaign? Don't spring it on people. It's not cool. You don't know who in your group has experienced various traumas. It's just not cool. It's a game. Chill out. Tucker White says, okay, well, it's not Yuri, but it still might be a hentai doujin. Hold on, let me turn the air on. Doujinshi? Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know all the stupid weeb words, I'm sorry. Jesus Christ.
I'm willing to assume you heard one of them yell, "We're here for the mansion!" But then why did they burn down the place afterwards? He says he never found out what happened to his father, but
I'm just gonna I'm gonna keep calling it Doujin, because fuck you guys. Stop being weebs. Stop looking at Japanese cartoon porn. Please, for the love of God. Source your animated pornography. Illustrated pornography from American sources. Tucker White says, also, I love how it was incredibly important that we needed to reinforce that the woman was R-word and murdered was beautiful. Yeah.
Also that he found out in the paper the next day.
Scooby-Doojin. Yeah. Fun fact, I actually have Scooby-Doo Rule 34 on my computer, specifically because as a group, our D&D campaign was looking at Scooby-Doo Rule 34 because we were trying to make a thumbnail for a video Jake and I were making, and we used cropped Scooby-Doo Rule 34. Not Scooby-Doo him... Wait, no. I do have one with Scooby-Doo himself that we looked at. I just didn't delete it yet. I probably should. I'm gonna do that right now. Hold on. If I die, I don't need anyone finding this and being like, oh. Where is it? I feel like I'll see it immediately. Yep. No, yeah, no. Scooby-Doo isn't. It's Shaggy shagging Velma and Scooby looking on jealously. Okay, deleted. Zorgnak says, I fell asleep last night watching your latest video of the Dussy guy and I had some very strange dreams. I bet. Tucker White says, does this character not have an option on the attractiveness of his, her, their father? Tucker White says, and you give us shit for looking at Japanese porn? I wasn't jerking off to it. MMO Addicted says, hello FBI, this stream right here. It's Scooby cuck porn? Yeah, I guess so. Tucker White says, also, we've seen the butternips. Scooby-Doo porn isn't any less dignified. True. The Profane Priestess says, I once had a DM like this. Instead of going, here's A, B, and C, what would you like to do? Oh, you want to do D? Well, we'll work that out. Instead, he went, go here. Oh, you don't want to? The ocean gods now hate you for not worshipping. You can't stay at the ocean you wanted to visit. Go here. Yeah, that's dumb. That's no fun. Lord Necro JZ says, this just in, local Twitch streamer dies. Strange pornography on her computer. This at 11.
He was murdered. Claims he was hungry on the streets for weeks, but that he was found by a certain someone that kept him from starving. The day after the night in question, said someone was my brother, who I never knew I had. I found out later my parents never told me I had a brother. Your character has a 1 in int, doesn't he? Those two sentences, plus that his brother taught him to be a thief, were the only 3 sentences his long-lost brother, who raised...
MH Darkbeast says, I left a session in less than 1 game because I introduced my female goblin barbarian PC and the DM introduced by characters pre-captured by orcs who were joking about R-wording my character. I was like, F this, I'm out, yeah. Run. If that ever happens, run! Get out of that campaign! Baha says, don't worry, Hannah, I'll wipe your search history. That's true love right there. Thank you.
Saved and trained him gets, while his dead parents, who were nothing more than plot devices, got 3 paragraphs. And, despite being raised as a thief, he said he was taking levels in assassin, and he was the perfect assassin, a ghost, never caught, never identified, a rumor. It was at that point, at what point, that my sorcerer powers activated. Now I had enough power to get my revenge. Except it wasn't enough. So I made a deal with a powerful demon. Oh, for duck's sake. I made it clear we were starting at level 1, not 5. And remember how he was an untraceable assassin? Well, he's also super well known. The ground trembles from my might. Men run from my power. They turn to ash from my gaze.
Tucker White says, future historians. Recently, class, archaeologists discovered the remains of this woman named Hannah. Some say she was most notable for a series on the Bible, but most agree she was most famous for Butternips and the world's largest collection of Scooby-Doo porn. Pyromancer says the cringe is strong with this player. Yeah.
Everyone feels.
RTK142 says, I played in a campaign where one dude straight up played Carl from Aqua Teen Hunger Force as a bard. It was fantastic. That's funny. And MMO Addicted says, I can't D&D cringe, just ugh. Me, a lot, brings back memories of a DM who railroaded one of my characters into killing her adopted child. Ugh.
Here's my wrath.
This is not absurd, no.
I would have loved to see our goblin monk whoop your
That, I think, got covered by a different channel.
demigod's butt. He also posted links to 7 separate theme songs for his character in this application. This is my battle theme. This is when I'm at the tavern. This is when I'm at the market. This is just my general theme.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Again, on the player side of things, people want to get to know your character at the table. Sure, that's a huge part of the game, is having your characters interact. And it's great if you have, like, backstory and stuff that you've thought out and how your character would react to certain things and what they're like. That's fine, but that's, like, back-end stuff. Like, there's tons of stuff about the professor that I know that I've made up, you know, in my head, thinking about where the professors come from and all that stuff. But it's not necessarily come out in the game because it's not an expository dump. You know what I mean? Like, if I was asked about certain things, I'd be able to answer in character. But I don't need to lore dump on people because no one wants that. MMO Addicted says, and it wasn't like an offhand mention character. I played both for months. The group dissolved shortly after. For the best. Lord Necro JZ said, this Friday I'm playing in a campaign as a lawful good halfling rogue thief who uses playing cards as weapons. Oh, like Gambit. That's cool.
Like when I enter the room. This is for whenever I start talking about my backstory. This is for when I'm with my character's girlfriend. No girlfriend was mentioned, so I guess he was expecting me to give him one. And this is my epic, final battle theme. I guess that last one was for when he went Super Saiyan and saved the day by himself. Okay, and here we have another character that is very clearly main character syndrome. But somehow worse because this guy thought he was going to stroll into a level 1 campaign with all of that. And yeah, I think he just read way too many backstories or ideas from other campaigns, said, I want all of that, and threw it into his backstory without really thinking what made sense. Now, is it a bad idea to have a detailed backstory? Certainly not. You know, your character can be at any age. If you join the campaign at age 60 but level 1 because you never were an adventurer, you're going to have a full life behind you to discuss. And while you shouldn't go into every minute detail, you should certainly bring up the relevant points, and it might end up being somewhat lengthy. But the key is to be a little obtuse where you can. That way the DM can pull from your backstory and introduce characters from it that you're not going to be totally familiar with.
Yep.
You'll know them from your backstory, but you don't know what the DM has in store for them. Same goes for items or locations or anything like that.
Tucker White says, so what, you don't think it's important to note that at 7:04 this morning the professor took a shit? Hey, technically, canonically, do we know if the professor poops? I don't know. Garo the Khajiit says, the very first time I tried to play D&D was like 25 years ago, and there were like 3 guys just like this player in the group, and after less than 1 session I noped out and didn't play again until 2 years ago. Thankfully my current group is great, and one of my characters is now the subject of my comic book. Well, that's fun. I'm glad you got into it with a better group.
So instead of saying you're from some specific town and then describing what every little detail in that town is, just describe the type of town it is and leave it there. That lets the DM be creative with it in the future. Again, that doesn't really apply to this guy's story. He was just putting details in the wrong place and emphasizing the wrong things. But yeah, don't do this.
You've never seen the professor in a restroom? Does the Hartnell count?
Do what I suggested instead. Anyhow, that's it for
the Hartnell, for those who don't know, is my character's basically TARDIS. Looks like an outhouse on the outside.
Today's stories. If you like them, the source for them is always in the description below. And if you like the video and you want to see more videos just like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button and bell notification icon to be notified of my future videos. And as about 80% of you watching are not subscribed, it would be doing me a huge favor for you to do so in order to help keep the channel growing. Anyhow, while you wait for my future videos, here are a few related videos that you can watch from my channel in the meantime.
The Hartnell's named after William Hartnell. Oops. William Hartnell is the actor who played the Doctor first. He was the first Doctor. Spelled differently in the campaign. His name is Hartnell. The Hartnells is Heartnell. Daddy Sume says, okay, to be fair, character themes can be really damn cool and give ideas for the themes, other types of themes of the character, and their general persona for the DM to work with in a way that dry backstory doesn't always give. This was a theme for one of my changelings. Tell me all the info you can get just from that. Oh, totally. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm not going to play it because it's going to get copyrighted. But, like, how do I put this? These are things to give on the back end, not, it's the first session, let me play you all these songs that my character are like. Like, if you want to give that to the DM or you want to listen to it, like, I have a playlist of songs on here when I'm trying to think about Professor stuff that I play that I think is Professor-related music. I know Sarah has one that's Alenia-themed music. Like, that's not uncommon. I'm just saying, like, when you're getting to the table for the first time for a new campaign or whatever it happens to be if it's a one-shot, people don't want to sit for 45 minutes and listen to you monologue about your character. They want to play the game and learn about your character through the game. Tucker White says, that looks more like George Carlin cosplaying as William Hartnell. Oh, all the info was provided in an application to the DM, not the party? Gotcha. I still think it's a bit much. He provided like 8 songs. That's excessive. I wouldn't want to play with that guy. Just, you know. The Doctor Who movie, not the TV special, was terrible. Which one? Do you mean the one from the 90s, or do you mean the Doctor Who and the Daleks movie? Okay, back to the wheel. Cults! Interesting. RTK142 says, my high elf wizard invented tub-thumping drinking with a bunch of dwarves after surviving a huge siege. Fun. Oh gosh, what were they called? Love Wins? The human doctor one with the Daleks? Yeah, not great. Oh no, have they restarted? So for those who don't know, there's this cult called the Love Has Won cult that included this woman who claimed to be Mother Goddess. She claimed to be the reincarnation of Jesus, amongst other holy figures. She died somewhat recently, and police came to investigate the home of the cult and found her, quote, mummified. So let's do some investigation into the Love Has Won cult. It appears that there's a new video on maybe them reappearing.
And we have new information on a religious cult based in...
Hannah, hot tub stream when? I don't know. When are you gonna buy me a hot tub?
Colorado. Members of the group have reappeared online under a new name.
Yeah, authorities arrested 7 members earlier this month after their leader's mummified body was found in a home near Crestone. CBS 4's Rick Sounder has been reporting on this cult. Appeared today on Dr. Phil, which focused on this case. And Rick, you do have new information for us.
Yes, Karen, the group may be small in numbers, but their online presence is huge. In fact, they have tens of thousands of people following them as Love Has Won. They disappeared from the live computer screen.
Didn't they remove her eyes? I believe they did, yes. Or they rotted away. The eyes are a pretty early part of the body to decompose because they're so moist and exposed. They're very soft tissue, so they go first.
But now some are back. Here's the cult has changed its name, calling itself 5D Full Disclosure.
5D Full Disclosure. Oh my goodness, they have a YouTube channel. Oh no, they're live right now. Uh-oh. Do we need to start a new playlist? New folder. Cults. Okay, saved under cults. I'm thinking about starting to do a cult watch series. So, yep, these are the people. Let's finish this news video and then we'll take a look at the channel.
Members of the group.
Yes, thank you, Baha. True Belkiss, thank you for subscribing for 4 months.
Posted, God was here. She ascended. Now it's our turn. Their reference to God is believed to be Amy Carlson, known as Mother God. She was the leader of Love Has Won. Her mummified body, decorated with Christmas lights, was discovered in this home near Crestone. It's believed she had been dead for some time from natural causes. 7 members of Love Has Won were arrested on charges related to the presence of the body. 2 known members of the group posted on Facebook.
She meowed back
today with Amy Carlson's picture in the background.
However this happens, I just pray everybody's still loving Mom, whatever goes down. And they all do. Nothing changed.
It is a live stream entitled The Return of the Oracles. All of those arrested have now been released on bond. We spoke with 2 briefly earlier this month. How did she die?
Ken, I actually do not have an answer to that.
I think she probably died of, honestly, based on the videos I've seen of her, probably alcohol or drug overdose. She was like drunk and high all the time. Lyra Me, thank you for subscribing with Prime. Profane Priestess says 5D Full Disclosure sounds like an attack movie in a shitty anime dub. And Bumble Homestead says, Cult Watch, yes please. Okay. Good feedback.
Sincerely, I don't know.
Here, we'll do a quick poll. Alright, vote in this poll if you want Cult Watch. TubeMan642 says, if you're going to start Cult Watch, please look into the Breatharians, people who believe they can survive only on air and sunlight. Yes, I'm vaguely familiar with them.
Different side of the group.
Did the poll actually post? It's not popping up for me. Are you guys seeing it?
Appeared on a video recently posted to Reddit. What it shows are a series of clips from the group making highly anti-Semitic and anti-black statements, which we will not air. It was
Hydrate. No, must have glitched out. Some people are saying it is. Okay, weird. I guess we can't really count the poll since most people can't see it. Twitch must be having issues with their poll stuff.
It was not disclosed where that live stream today.
Refresh chat. Let me see. Okay. It is actually working on here. If you refresh it.
It was coming from. The group has been at times in Oregon and
Hats
Hawaii,
off.
and the body of Carlson
Glasses.
was believed brought to Colorado from California.
All right, let's check out the cult's YouTube page. DM Trey, thanks for subscribing for 13 months. Says it's been a wild 13 months. It sure has. No votes, so... Oh, there's 2 no votes now. There is some meh, but mostly people saying yes, so... That's good, I guess. What do we count as cults? That's a good point. It'll probably be relatively broad. Why is Twitch so busted? I don't know. Who knows? They're live right now.
He has been so much more open and vulnerable with where he's at, that he was, you know, transparent about himself, and I was able to give him like real guidance that helped him in these moments. But only if you're allowed to be vulnerable, you know, you can allow the full assistance to come to you, and that's definitely something I learned as well. It's no shame to ask for help, to reach out with any and every.
What are their most popular videos? Ooh, 8 years ago. This must have been their original channel. Let's take a look at... Yeah, let's take a look at some of the stuff Mother God said. This is Mother God, air quotes. I forget her real name. Anyway, this is the woman that they found mummified. She was the leader of the cult.
Yippee, everybody! Oh my gosh! Happy 999. 9999. We have had some very interesting words come out on this date, this magical date.
Do I need to turn this up more? Can you guys hear her? She's a little quiet for me. What do you think?
999. I'm a 9. Shasta's a 9. We're about to go out there and activate some stuff.
She's a little quiet? Okay, I'll turn her up. Ooh, sorry.
Love has won. Yippee! All right. So I have a message to read to you that came through this morning through my shaking body. It's still shaking.
See, this is the interesting thing about this cult to me, because I think a lot of people, myself included, tend to have this vision of cult leaders that they need to be charismatic in order to convince people to come and have like a really good facade that makes people see them as these holy beings or whatever. But this lady was openly drunk and belligerent and high and just acting incredibly irrationally around her followers constantly, and they still saw her as God, which is really, really interesting. And it makes me wonder how she was able to do that. Probably found some other people in some pretty vulnerable situations if they were willing to believe her. Devolio11 says the Stana cult will culminate in us baking Hannah as well as other higher-ups into a massive hot pocket. Alright, that's cool. I hope I taste good. Pyromancer says, when you're a god, you can do whatever you want. I suppose. Zozo Horror Show says drugs. Lots of drugs. The drugs probably... But here's the thing. It was apparently a rule of the cult that they weren't supposed to take drugs. So...
Fire.
In fairness, they do kind of strike me as the kind of people that probably are like, oh, man, if it grows in the ground, it's not a drug, man. You know what I mean? So probably like ayahuasca and mushrooms and weed abound, if I had to guess. Zozo Horror Show says, I was about to say that. Yeah.
It's precise, you know. I am the Holy Spirit. I am Great Spirit. I am the Mother of Creation. I'm here.
And now you're a mummy. Colston says, if life has taught me anything, it's easier to screw over people and take power, so as long as you don't have a conscience, there's always someone who's willing to follow you. Yikes.
And love's calling a spade a spade. You know, Adams, get into right action. This is what this is saying.
She claimed alcohol, weed, and other planty drugs are allowed. Of course.
I love you. Honored to be at your service.
314 viewers. That's the pi number.
As the reality becomes true reality on this planet. Okay. So this is very fascinating. The timestamp for this.
You a cult leader, Hannah? Am I?
Okay, so it's 9/9.
I don't think I make enough money to be considered a cult leader. Maybe if I built a compound and you all came to live there. That would probably help.
2016 at 9:36 a.m. Did you guys get that one?
Jake is a cult leader. 100%. Corn cult.
Calling in the end of fear, pain, and suffering.
RTK says, I'd be down for a good compound. And Daddy Sume says, I call dibs on orgy organizer. Why do you assume there'd be orgies? Why do you assume there would be orgies?
And the beginning of the new story of love everywhere present. Now, all of existence must serve all life for the greatest
Daddy
good
Sume
of
says,
all,
because I'll be there, of course there will be.
good of
Why
all.
do you assume other people will want to participate in your
Calling
orgy?
all atoms of energy into right action and pure consciousness. All atoms who deny this message, deny Great Spirit, Holy Spirit,
Hi, Hannah, have we met? I mean, again, yes, we have.
will be
Why
recycled
do you assume other people
into
would
right
want?
action.
Okay, well, Fly West Joe says you do. Okay, good luck.
period.
Wipe everything
Ye
down when you're
ignorant.
done, you monsters.
Your
you
moments
goddamn
are
animals.
over. Only bliss may survive these times.
One Speedy Yoshi says, Hannah, you know yourself and your audience. Look us straight in the eye and tell us we're not all in horny jail. I guess. We're gonna build a real horny jail on the compound. Everyone who's horny goes into horny jail. And that's where the orgies happen. Profane Priestess says, I mean, I'll participate in an orgy. Why do all of you want to participate in an orgy? What? Mike Max says, if a cult doesn't have an orgy, is it really a cult? Yes, it's not a prerequisite.
Being love in simple service. Ding! Love forever reigns on earth as it is in heaven.
What's the cult drink of choice? Chocolate milk. When the ATF comes for us, we're gonna have some special chocolate milk. And we'll get away scot-free. Zozo Horror Show says, I don't know, I didn't care much for Orgy. Their music was kinda average for the time. Badooch.
Ye atoms are shaking, and I can feel this. It's the moments to come home into the light. Listen up. Message from Mother of all creation. Great.
One Speedy Yoshi says, Hannah, please stop having an orgy. Chat. What? Sorry, I can't hear you over our orgy. Sometimes, chat, Sometimes I question the audience that I've cultivated. Do you know how many people have left viewing this since we started talking about this shit? Daddy Sume says, I told you, Hannah, you cannot deny the horny. I am the leader of the perv sect of the Orthodox Hannah. And RTK says, we aren't saying orgies are mandatory. Also, are there going to be separate lesbian orgies, gay? I don't know. Figure it out amongst yourselves. I'm done talking about it. We lost like 30 viewers in the last 3 minutes. Pyromancer, thanks for the 20 bits, but I'm done talking about the stupid orgy thing.
Spirit. The Holy Ghost. Incarnated here in physical manifestation. To kick fucking ego's ass off the planet. Ding. As love is in
Ilium Gal,
charge
thanks
of
for
planet
the 40
Earth,
bits.
equal heart.
But again, I'm done talking about it.
And the new story begins today. 999. End of the old, beginning of the new. Coming in. Waves.
Like, why do they think this lady is God? This person also talks about the Galactic Federation of Light, as does that Elizabeth... Oh gosh, why can't I remember her name? We watch her sometimes on Conspiracy, whatever.
Greetings, everyone.
DM Trey, thanks for the 20 bits.
This is very exciting, what's happening and unfolding. Yay! So, let's get to this.
Elizabeth April, thank you.
Oh,
That's
we
her
love
name.
you. We're so excited to share this message with you. Great.
MH Darkbeast says, I'm glad to be Arrow around this group. Well, unless Daddy Sume or someone wants to cosplay as a passable oh gosh. Caduceus, is that Cassius Clay? Is that how you spell that? Cassius Clay? That's a panty dropper.
Greetings, love beans. This is Mother God and the First Contact Ground Crew team. Woohoo! So much has happened.
Wait, is this the same lady? Because she just said this is Mother God, and this was Mother God. Yeah, this was 7 years ago, and then this was 4 years ago. Holy crap. No, this can't be the same woman. If that was the same woman, then she aged like 20 years in 3 years. Look at the difference here. This is 2014. And then this is her in 2016. How in the world? Drugs are bad for you. That they are. RTK says, Caduceus Talisman Yafe's current crit roll character. Oh, I don't watch Critical Role. That's why. And the Profane Priestess says, whatever that person's name is, Clay, plays an Ace Furbolg cleric in Critical Role. Gotcha. Early onset mummification. Aw.
Shalom, everybody. How are you?
How's it?
Oh yeah, I think they did do the whole colloidal silver thing too. That didn't help. KR Goss says she had cancer, but I don't know what kind, but she had it for years. Gotcha.
Going? I know Hope and I have been on the live streams, and so we wanted to do this video to address all of the things that were talked about on Dr. Phil for the many, many people that are calling us, emailing us, and commenting. This is for you. And this is also for everyone who continuously makes up lies.
One sec. Hello? What are you doing, kitties? Just the kitties making noise. They're good.
Yep. And we've been very patient. Mom's been very...
She was trying to treat her cancer with colloidal silver. That won't help.
Very patient. She's let it all go, just told us to move along, let everybody say whatever they want to say, and that time has expired. So we felt like it was time that we called people out, because we're not going to allow the lies to continue. We're going to show you the voice notes. We're going to show you the text messages. We're going to call them out by name. We're going to tell you the real story and what really happens and who Mom really is.
They all call her Mom.
So for anybody who didn't see the Dr. Phil special.
Most people did.
Which most people did. There's a 2-part special for what reason, I'm not sure. But the first part of the show that did air today is what we're going to start with addressing. And it's fascinating to start with because obviously it was Mom's Earth family who contacted Dr. Phil, by the way, for everyone
Her family, her real family, as opposed to the cult.
asking. They contacted Dr. Phil to be on the show, probably for attention. Mom agreed because she was like, well, I'll just tell my truth and, I don't know. She's very open with those things. We're fully transparent. She didn't see it as, we weren't going into it feeling like it was going to be what it was, where they were going to manipulate and the whole thing. We knew it was kind of a reality show, but, we didn't know that to the extent to which it was going to be. So Mom spoke her truth, but we're going to tell you the full truth and what they didn't allow us to say on the show. So the first thing
I'm trying to see where you're starting out with.
So the first thing they talked about, was the cult thing. Obviously, that's their favorite trigger word.
The go-to line.
Because you're a cult. You thought a lady was literally the reincarnation of Jesus. Call her mom, live in a house together, or at least on some sort of compound, and then when she died, you mummified her and strung her in Christmas lights. Like, guys, I don't need the bite model to tell me that you're a fucking cult. One Speedy Yoshi says, can I call her mommy instead of mom? Big cult mommy milkies.
And, I'll read you a quote that I posted today because I feel that it perfectly sums up the definition of a cult, which, by the way, culture comes from the root word cult. Keep that in your heart.
Take that, you idiots. Words sometimes have the same root word. RTK says, Our Lady of Tinfoil and everyone else, I sadly must wander for the night. Have a great whatever it is for you wherever you see this. Live long and prosper, peace and long life. Thanks, RTK. Have a good night.
So this is a Terence McKenna quote, and Terence McKenna's in the field. We love you. And
Terrence.
He said, we are caged by cultural programming. Culture is mass hallucination. And when you step outside the hallucination, you see it for what it is worth.
You ever try and defend yourself and explain how you're not a cult, and then every word that comes out of your mouth makes you sound even more like a cult than you did 5 seconds ago before you started talking?
So cult really defines most people in society, humanity as a whole. They live under cult expectations, societal pressures.
That's not what a cult is. Hold on. Usually the bite model ends up getting used. Hold on. Sorry. Bite model cults. Mike Max says humanity is a joke, and One Speedy Yoshi says, speaking of cults and mommies, what do you think of Lady Dimitrescu? I haven't done. I don't. I get people are all thirsty over the big titty vampire mommy. I'm neutral. I don't really care. Doesn't do it for me. The Profane Priestess says, we're not a cult. Everyone else is a cult. Okay, so the bite model is a way of determining cult behavior or authoritarian control. So it's an acronym, stands for behavioral control, informational control, thought control, emotional control. And cults tend to have these sort of things going on. So, for instance, behavioral control, they regulate individuals' physical reality. They dictate where, how, and with whom the member lives and associates with or isolates, when, how, and with whom members have sex, control types of clothing and hairstyles, regulating diet, manipulating and depriving of sleep, financial exploitation, manipulation or dependence, restricting leisure, entertainment, vacation time, major time spent with group indoctrination rituals or self-indoctrination, including the internet, permission required for major decisions, rewards and punishments used to modify behaviors, positive and negative, discourage individualism, you get it, stuff like this. This particular group, with the, what did she call herself, Mother God or whoever, they explicitly were having members who they felt were doing wrong things isolate themselves. They were depriving them of sleep to punish them, to try and correct them. Typical cult behavior, brainwashing stuff. So information control, deception, deliberately withholding information, distorting information to make it more acceptable, systematically lying to cult members, minimizing or discouraging access to non-cult sources of information, including TV, internet, radio, books, articles, newspapers, magazines, all media. shunning former members, keeping members busy so they don't have time to think or investigate. I would imagine this happened in the cult. I don't know a ton about their access to media, but based on the way they're talking about culture, and culture as a whole being a cult, as opposed to them being a cult, I imagine they weren't probably exposed to much pop culture media after they joined the cult. Wing the Ultimate Nug says, isn't that corporations and corporate life? You could probably apply this to a lot of things, yes. But it's about the sort of holistic view of these things and how they're being applied and the consent that is applied within these systems. So yes, you could argue that certain corporate cultures could apply to this in some ways. Ilium Gal says, do you think there was any point in your life you could have been convinced into joining a cult? Personally, I'd like to think I'd not buy it, but maybe I've just been lucky to not have been low enough or desperate enough for it to work for me. Probably. I think everyone at certain points in their life could have probably been convinced. I can't pinpoint a certain time, but I don't think I'm above being manipulated. We're all human beings, you know? Thought control requires members to internalize the group's doctrine as truth, adopting the group's map of reality, instill black and white thinking, make things good versus evil, organize people into us versus them, change person's name identity, using loaded language and cliches which constrict knowledge, stop critical thoughts and reduce complexities into platitudinous buzzwords, encourage only good and proper thoughts, hypnotic techniques to alter mental states, undermine critical thinking, and even age regress the member. Memories are manipulated, false memories are created. You get it. Chanting, meditating, praying, speaking in tongues, singing or humming, rejection of rational analysis, critical thinking, or constructive criticism, all that stuff. One Speedy Yoshi says, do you think the QAnon shit is cult following like the Byte model? I think so. It's very interesting. I still keep a close eye on the Q stuff. I check the QAnon website that I go to. There are multiple, but I go to one specific one, which I'm not going to name here. But I go about every day and just see what they're up to, and it's very interesting. You can see a lot of this sort of stuff happening. But what's interesting about the QAnon stuff is that at this point, Q has disappeared, basically. Obviously, Q was fake in the first place, but someone was posting that stuff, probably Ron and Jim Watkins, if, you know, you've read anything about that stuff or seen the HBO documentary. It's been multiple people, but most recently it was them. Anyway, they're rudderless. There's no cult leader, effectively, outside of, if you want to say, Donald Trump. But Donald Trump, at this point, isn't even really giving orders to you know, his followers or whatever. So, it's interesting seeing a cult mentality and them all trying to keep each other in line, without that sort of hierarchical structure in play. So they'll have sort of these demigods almost that they take at face value, like Michael Lindell or Michael Flynn. And they'll sort of use them to steer them where the discussions and beliefs in the groups go, but for the most part, it's just them hanging out on forums. And it's interesting seeing them sort of reinforce their own delusions amongst themselves.
Religious groupings, they're programmed since the day they were born to believe whatever their parents and their community believes, and they follow it blindly. That is a cult.
All right, and then...
No, the existence of society is not a cult. Words have meanings. You can't just say something's a cult because you want it to be a cult.
The next thing that was brought up during the show was abandoning her children. So that's been a go-to line for going on 3 years now, is that mom abandoned her children. Obviously, on the show, mom's family does back that up and says that mom's kids want nothing to do with her. The usual story of just mom's relationship with her children. So this was...
Yeah, she had actual kids that I guess she abandoned to go do this weird cult thing. Hydrate, thank you.
14 years ago that mom left. All of her children are older.
It's been 14 years. Why don't you get over your parent stepping out on you already? Jeez. Profane Priestess says, organic formation of cult hierarchies is super interesting. Watching it happen with Q is wild. I know. It's so interesting.
They're all adults. She did see her older son at some point, which is mentioned. And even recently,
See, she even saw one of her kids at some point, right? I mean, sure, she abandoned him, but she saw one of the oldest at some point. Tucker White says, "Oh, please, we all know who Q was all this time." I can't play this. Wait, John Cleese played James Bond's Q at one point? I guess I haven't seen those ones. I don't really like the James Bond movies.
They did connect while Mom was in Hawaii.
One Speedy Yoshi says, "Mommy left for cigarettes and stumbled upon making a cult." You know, that happens.
Which was not mentioned, that he did reach out and contact her. So these are just like little pieces that are being missed, but it just shows the unawareness of what is actually going on in Mom's reality that they don't know about. They don't know the full story. I mean, you can even listen to Linda. What did she say? She hasn't talked to Mom in a year and a half.
Not true, Linda. We have many messages from Linda on the back end of our Facebook. Mom has many messages from Linda. She's been on our streams probably almost every day.
Okay, but was her mom talking back, or was it the daughter being like, "Mom, please talk to us. Stop being in this cult. They're gonna mummify you." Because if she wasn't talking back, it doesn't matter if the kid was desperately trying to reach out if the mom wasn't reaching back.
For the past few months, and Linda and Mom have spoken many times within the last few months. I don't know if I can find them.
Okay, that's within the last few months. That doesn't mean for the earlier time before the couple months she didn't abandon her children, which she clearly did. You just said it was 14 years ago. Abandoning your children for 14 years and then talking to them occasionally for a couple months after 14 years doesn't undo the abandonment.
The messages here because they were from a moment ago, but her sister Tara also contacted us. So that whole thing that they haven't spoken in a year and a half, not true. Nope. They have spoken multiple times recently in the past few months, and Mom had no awareness that they had contacted the show already, and they were trying to rekindle or mend their relationship, not even knowing that they had kind of done this without saying anything.
Silk Monkey, thanks for subscribing for 5 months.
Yeah, and they haven't spoken to her in 14 years, by the way. So, perfect.
Because she abandoned them! They haven't spoken to her in 14 years after she walked out on them. What ungrateful children.
Family has literally zero idea of what Mom has done for 14 years. None.
Apparently gotten drunk and high and screwed up her body with this cult.
I think they have it all figured out. I think they know Mom like the back of their hand. Mm-hmm. That they are totally connected, know what she's been going through, and they don't. And that's the disassociation between them and Mom, and the reality separation between them. They have no idea. It's like you haven't seen somebody since preschool, and you know them so well. Know them, you're like, oh my gosh, how's it? I just know everything about them.
They don't know her because she abandoned them as children 14 years ago.
Like, this is wonderful. Oh my gosh,
I remember you in first grade.
Right, good
You've
times.
Changed.
Oh my gosh,
We're not talking about a random student you took classes with. We're talking about their mom. She's their mom. Their real mom. Not like she's your fake cult mom, but their actual mom. Fuck these two.
You're so different.
You're so different than you were when you were 6. The fuck?
That's how it is, though.
That's how delusional it is. They haven't known her in almost 15 years.
You think she's the reincarnation of Jesus, and you're gonna call other people delusional?
Years. They know nothing about what Mom's experienced, what she's had to go through, all the things that she has had to work through and accomplish to get where she is right now. They have no idea. And when Mom went on mission, she, like Dr. Phil kind of said, you had a higher calling, and that part is true. She did have a higher calling. She's always spoken to angels, and you can ask Linda, because Linda told her when she was a kid to not tell anyone that she spoke to angels and that she could see the etheric realm.
She told someone she could speak to angels, so she can speak to angels, clearly.
So she tried to shut down Mom's gifts. Linda won't.
That's not a gift. That's probably something she needs to be medicated for, or at least she should have been prior to being mummified.
Can't lie about that fact, that she did, try to dissuade Mom from embracing. I feel there was a lot of fear involved in that spiritual aspect. So by the time that Mom started to get all these downloads about who she was and what her mission was, it was around 2006, and that's why her family said she started to act weird. She had always been different. Her family doesn't mention that. They don't mention all of the accomplishments and things that Mom had done up until that point in her life that made her very different than others. They didn't talk about those things. So when Mom got called on mission, she had always talked to the angels in the etheric realm, and they told her, you have a mission to spread the truth and love and to tell everyone there is an ascension process going on. There's an evolutionary process happening. And you can either stay with your kids and have your 3 kids, or you can try and save 8 billion. So Mom, and you can tell the story about the shower.
Oh, yeah. So the vision that, and we've shared this so many times on so many streams throughout the years, the moment that Mom had to decide to either stay or go on mission, which Aurora was beginning to explain, of when she was in the shower, she went into a meditative state, and she had a vision, and the angels came to her and said, you have a choice. You can either save your 3 children, and she saw a vision of them standing there, and then they said, or you could save 8 billion. And
first of all, there aren't 8 billion people on the planet yet. 7,800,000 people, and it was lower when she died. Second of all, she's not doing that. She started a cult, lured people like you in, and then spent all day getting drunk and high. She didn't save anyone. All she did was abandon her children and ruin all of your lives.
They showed her a vision of humanity, and she fell to her knees. And in that moment, she surrendered. She said she would do it. And at that time, she was with her youngest son, and he was very young. He was probably around 2 years old, maybe a little bit older. And when Mom told him that she was going to go on mission, she didn't want to leave him. She fought the angels for hours on end in a meeting, saying that, can I please bring my son? And they kept saying, no, it's not safe, it's not okay, because right when Mom began mission, she was homeless in the forest. Another big piece that nobody wants to talk about. We'll talk about that in a moment, but also just back to that of how...
Okay, I'm sick of listening to these two talk. Is there any other videos from this that I want to check out before? We'll revisit these people again. I'm sure we're gonna do Cult Watch at some point, so when we do that, we'll look at some of their stuff and see how the cult mentality kind of evolved, and maybe kind of see the evolution of Mother Goddess herself, just because of how interesting her own transformation was over that time. Moving on. Okay, it's time for me to practice my voice, so bear with me. Karens! We love a good Karen compilation. Is it these people that do these regularly?
To be a what? A cat fight?
Oh shit, get that. You guys.
I like it with that heavy bass in the background. It really sets the mood.
Stop fighting!
That's a reasonable response.
Satan worship right.
Uh-oh.
Out of it. Shove the mask up your ass and out your mouth. No new world order. Nobody's safe. Your own shit, Satan. England, elite motherfucker. I told you don't give him access. Did you just say something I told you not to say? Pushing my buttons?
One Speedy Yoshi says, I tried to talk to angels too, just like the cult lady. But David Boreanaz just screamed, who are you? Who are you in my dressing room? And go to his security guards. I don't get that joke. I'm sorry.
With your snake motherfucker on the ground with your luggage shit? Are you with the goddamn Stella? FBI motherfucker with Obama and my family? Are you the bird bitch from stolen stuff in Mexico?
Are you the bird bitch from stolen stuff in Mexico? I don't... What?
Asking me who my God is? It's not Satan. Understood? It's not going to be anybody else's God either. Hollywood!
This couple over here is saying that their food is raw, threatening the waiter, saying the waiter's threatening them because they're Mexican. That don't make no sense.
See, that's so weird. Why are people so rude in restaurants? Like, if I got something that's raw, I'd just be like, I'd try and, flag down the waiter or waitress, and I'd be like, excuse me, I'm sorry. The food I ordered, I think it's a little raw. Could they maybe, throw this back on the grill or whatever for a little bit? Not a big deal. Just be nice about it. I'm sure they'll help. Silk Monkey says, my all-time favorite memory with my wife was watching some Karen meltdown at the table next to us while we were on our honeymoon. We still laugh at her to this day.
That's funny.
Beautiful memory.
Yeah, everybody's in here recording because it's some bullshit. And all 93 people.
Terrible customer service. Terrible service all the way around.
I have other customers in here.
Go bring it up.
Go
Bring it up, dude.
Bring it the fuck up. He
They had a problem. Would you take care of them?
Dude Spanking Dude says, I got bad news. I got fired from my job. I tried to leave and stuff because my mom lied to me that I had to wear a bra. She said someone texted her from my job and said I had to wear a bra, which was a lie. I was crying the whole time wearing it and stuff. My mom knows I hate wearing bras. So not a good day. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That was not okay of her. That's terrible. Ex-followers for brains with a link.
A woman who went on social media criticizing a young Starbucks barista for refusing to serve her because she wasn't wearing a mask is now planning to sue. That barista received $100,000 in donations from strangers. As ABC tennis reporter Leah Pizzetti explains, the woman now wants part of that money.
What is wrong with people? Freiserburn says, that's because you have empathy for service workers, which seems to be a rare trait these days. And Kirthin says, do you want any tips on your voice? I understand if you don't want unsolicited. Sure. Lumi, thank you for rating. I appreciate it. Everyone go check out Lumi. They are excellent. They talk about gender issues, all sorts of great stuff. So could Ahmad maybe link Lumi's channel? I'd appreciate it. Welcome, Raiders. Right now we're watching a compilation of people freaking out about stupid stuff. Welcome. I'm Hannah. I'm a trans leftist streamer. My pronouns are she, her. Oh gosh, now I wish I put makeup on today. One Speedy Yoshi says, this kind of fits the Karen thing, but remember how that one hotel guy yelled the N-word at Jeremy and was totally not racist, air quotes, and raised money for them saying this is cancel culture? It's so stupid. Thank you, Freiserburn, for the links. Everyone, make sure you go check out Lumi's channel.
And I wanted to bring awareness about the discrimination.
Amber Gillis says she posted this photo of barista Lennon Gutierrez after he asked her to wear a mask at Starbucks. The caption reads, meet Lennon from Starbucks who refused to serve me because I'm not wearing a mask. Next time I will wait for cops and bring a medical exemption. That post exploded online. Then a GoFundMe for tip money for the barista surpassed $100,000. Gillis says she has medical problems, but also says masks are not effective.
One of them, I get shortness of
breath,
dizziness, and it messes with the heartbeat.
No, it doesn't. Doctors have been wearing masks for a century. You're fine. Stop with this lie. This has been demonstrated. I don't even know how many times where doctors or whoever have worn an oxygenation monitor and they wear masks. I saw one person wear like 30 masks just to prove a point. If you can breathe. I understand that masks aren't the most comfortable things in the world, but it doesn't matter. You do it because it's the right thing to do. This past year has shown me how many selfish, ignorant people there are, and it is so disheartening. Thank you, everyone who's following. I appreciate it. One Speedy Yoshi says, Karen took the kids, and now this?
And I do have asthma as well. So
this is bullshit, too, because Baha, who's my girlfriend, for those who don't watch the stream regularly, she also has asthma. She wears a mask, and she's fine. Not only does she wear a mask, she's a PhD candidate. She's a fifth-year PhD candidate, and in the lab, for hours and hours at a time, she has to wear a mask. She's fine. Kirthan says, the placement of your voice is a tad more nasally than when not voice training. You can counteract that by speaking with a more room in the back of your throat, like Julia Childs. You sound great, though, just something I've heard from vocal coaches. Okay, thank you. I'll try and tone down some of the nasally. Tea with Goblins says, my first-year students just got their grades back from their first assignment. I spent hours giving detailed feedback, and I woke up this morning to a whole bunch of emails from students demanding that I give an explanation why their crappy essays didn't get top marks. Feeling pretty demoralized, so I'm glad you're on screen. Well, thank you.
I do get maskne. So there's several things going on, and not only that, it doesn't even work.
She did share too.
Yeah, face shields have been an option too. I was at, I think I saw a video a while back where it was from a Best Buy, and they had face shields at the front. So if you were like, oh, I can't wear a mask, they'd be like, well, we have face shields that we sanitize when people use them. Use this or get out.
Pieces of paperwork to show what she calls a medical exemption. This 2015 doctor's report she shared shows analysis of her uterus and an ovarian cyst, and this handwritten note with a San Diego chiropractor's letterhead that she asked us not to show says she has, quote, underlying health conditions that prevent her from wearing a mask. She says her post about the experience is a First Amendment right.
It was discrimination, and everybody's okay with it, and enabling and rewarding that kind of behavior.
And she says she wants half of the more than $100,000 donated, which was given to the barista in cash last week.
I don't care if he gave it to Lennon. I'm gonna sue him for half of it.
She says the lawyers she's
fuck this lady.
Spoken to about taking her case are expensive and she can't afford one yet, so she started her own GoFundMe to raise money for herself.
Hi, please give me money so I can steal money from someone else who got it because I was a bitch in the first place. Thanks. Fuck you.
When asked if she has any apology or message to the public.
No, absolutely not. I feel like I need the apology. I've been discriminated against. I'm the one who's sick.
Leah Psetti, ABC 10 News.
Matt, the creator of that GoFundMe, says he and Lennon, the barista, both have legal counsel now, just in case Amber Gillis does try to file a lawsuit.
Yeah, they actually have the money for it.
Take you $2,600.
Read the estimate, Sarah. The first bill was totally different than this bill.
But I pay you after you finish because I don't trust you. Because I told you that I had a deadline. I told you that I had a deadline. Okay, and now you're just pulling out because of fucking $2,000. What kind of a person are you? You're a crook.
I assume that's her own property. Why is she just throwing stuff? This looks like Florida, so this tracks. Logarth says, and at that point in time you fire the client. Yeah. Mike Mack says, white people, why are you like this? I wish I knew.
Do you have somebody over here? Anybody? I need to talk to somebody. Yeah, is that your child screaming? Yes. Well, it's really loud in our neighborhood. I've lived here for 30 years, and since you guys came in, it's really loud.
Is she holding a white claw?
Okay. So, it's during the daytime. It doesn't matter. All day I've been hearing that screaming, okay? Okay. Yeah. My child, and she's gonna get.
Look, I'm not a big fan of kids screaming and crying either. I don't like kids. I am very nasally. I'm like Steve Urkel up in here. I'm working on it. I'm sorry. Anyway, first of all, it's the middle of the day and it looks like she's drinking a White Claw. Very classy choice. Secondly, I don't like kids screaming either, but if you're in a completely different house, how loud could it possibly be? Even if it is, I mean, babies exist. Like, you gotta kind of deal with that. You can't go over and be like, can you make your baby stop crying? Like, what do you think they're gonna go? Do you think they're gonna go up to the baby and be like, hey, you know, I was actually really enjoying your crying, but could you please stop? Lady, if the parents could make the baby stop crying, they would do it. One Speedy Yoshi says, what hundreds of years of no seasoning in your food does to a Logarth says, contractors are super high in demand right now. Those guys probably have several jobs, then can bump ahead easily. You can even get a plumber or electrician for weeks now. Yeah, pain in the ass. Hydrate. Okay, will do.
Yeah, well, go back to your country. How about that?
Oh, it's a racist thing. Every time it's a racist thing, it still surprises me, even though at this point it shouldn't.
Tell me what's my fucking country? You're my fucking private property.
Wanna suck my dick? Say it again. Go to China.
You own a construction
Yeah,
company.
go to China. Fuck you, mom.
Yeah.
Because you have a
Keep
small
saying it.
dick.
Keep saying it.
Priya Benzona. Come on. Suck you, dick.
I don't know what this means.
Go fuck you, mama. Go fuck you, mama. Go fuck you, mama. You're not from
No,
here.
do it.
You Asian. All
Do it.
the Asian, yes, a small dick. Small dick. Oh. Small dick.
I think there should be a new law that anyone who accuses anyone else of having a small dick needs to immediately present their dick to everyone that's around them to verify that they can give that insult. Otherwise, it's banned.
Hey, where do you live?
I
Where you
live
live,
in you pussy, mama.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Over your nose then if you're gonna wear a mask. Yeah, do that.
Now put
Be
it down. Put it down.
Be a
Now put it down. Now go.
Oh, I need 20 and pump too.
Well, you ain't gonna get circus here. If you don't want to wear the mask, then don't. Go on.
Look at this guy. Nazi. This is a Nazi. This is a modern day fashion.
Jesus Christ. Mike Mack says, White Claw or Pabst Blue Ribbon, which is worse for white people?
You're disgusting, dude.
Uh-huh.
This is how you treat your customers?
Starling
No,
CJ,
just go ahead.
thanks for subscribing
Go
to
on.
Prime.
Pathetic, dude.
Go on.
There you go.
This is what happens when people think they are in the right, but are actually in the wrong.
Logarth says, this is a Nazi. Bro, you need to flip your camera. Oh yeah, I saw this, I think. This lady, it was like a full train and she was refusing to move her bag.
Don't put your hands on my stuff. What? No, I don't want to. There's more seats available.
No, there isn't.
No, there
No, there
isn't.
isn't.
Standing room only. No, there's not.
Ma'am, put it up there or I'm going to get you off the train right now. Ma'am, I'm going to get you off the train.
Sit on her stuff.
I need a 29 on 39.55. First car, unruly passenger.
People are standing.
Sit down. Get her off the train. Get her off.
Is it a cop? They even got a cop. One Speedy Yoshi says, this has nothing to do with anything, but sometimes I forget how Midwestern you are, like how you say bag or police. Yeah, I'm from Michigan. Logarth says, the hero of the subway, homeless man, shows up and uses his mighty P of justice to smite this evildoer. Wow, the sequel to the Florida Project looks lit. Kirthan says, more fun Michigan words, calendar, talent, balance.
I steal that shit, right? That's how you are, motherfucking American, right?
Yes, I am.
steal that shit. I take that shit. I'm coming in this bitch to get my motherfucking money back to y'all where we all go. This is what I stand for, right?
She dropped it right on her own face. Can we watch that again? Let's see that again, okay? This is the moment where she realized she had fucked up. Boom! Don't put your hands on other people. Don't do it. That's assault.
What is it? What is it? What I steal from you guys, huh? What the fuck I got from you guys? I'm right out saying it right now, bitch. What I steal from you guys? Show me what I steal from you guys, huh? Ain't shit here. Ain't shit hiding in my titties, bitch. I walk up in this store with thrift like
I got it.
And I'm automatically stealing. Bitch, let's go!
Logarth says, oh man, if this woman gets banned from Walmart, where is she gonna get her plaid pajama pants and black sports bras? Mike Mack says, cocaine is a hell of a drug. I feel like if you have cocaine money, you don't shop at Walmart. I think you're a Whole Foods shopper if you're on cocaine. Or a Trader Joe's.
What I steal, bitch? What's the motherfucking problem? And what's the motherfucking problem? We're crackheads run up in this bitch. Take all y'all shit all day and then I'm paying for my shit, bitch. Yeah, tell him. But yeah, this bitch right here, right now. Right now, this bitch right here, right now. Real talk. Fuck this bitch. Don't fucking touch me.
Hey, no, acting. Please don't. Please don't.
We do not know her at all. No.
Music. It's like,
oh no, it's a court one.
Rapper?
Yes, rap and sing.
I mean,
Lord Necro Jay-Z says, I get the feeling she's gonna yell, are you saying I stole something well, I don't even know what race she was. It doesn't matter.
Mom, you and I are not surprised if your son is rapping and gets caught in a stolen car with a gun and goes in a car chase, right? I mean, that's we can kind of predict that's going to happen.
Oh yikes! No, don't say that. Like people. Oh, that's. Don't say that, Judge. Logarth says this person needs serious mental help. I suggest Dr. Serious Ash Whooping. Yeah, bad judge. That's not cool.
Just because he do rap music?
Well, the culture, right? I mean, it shouldn't surprise you. Let's put it this way. If he's singing in a church choir...
Uh-oh!
Do you think it's a realistic ending for him to be caught in a stolen car?
Oh, this guy shouldn't be a judge. This guy should not be a judge.
With a gun on a car chase from the
Fuck
police?
this guy.
Okay, but wouldn't you want to ask him what kind of rap music he doing before you classify him as a rapper that's rapping about guns and violence?
I didn't say what he's rapping about.
But you just said that just because he's doing rap music, he's known to get caught.
Can we agree that the rap culture has an element of violence to it that the church choir does not?
Holy shit, fuck that guy. That's disgusting. I hope he got in trouble for that, because that's unacceptable. Cults, interesting. Okay, let's look at the breatharian thing.
When it comes to food,
Hey guys.
Mike Max says that's basically discrimination. It is. And CJ Oracle says, ever look at Ramtha's School of Enlightenment? I'm not familiar.
This is Anjana.
Logarth says, aren't these the people that were caught eating real food after some huge fasting demonstration? Some have been caught. For those who don't know what breatharians are, they're, in my opinion, scam artists who tell people, you don't have to eat food or drink water. Everything that you need is in the air around you. And they convince people to stop eating. As you can imagine, it doesn't go well. And of course, they're really secretly eating. You can't not eat. It's a scam, in my opinion.
Tom calls me Angel, and I love connecting the right people and spread the awareness regarding health. So I met Tom 4 months ago at a retreat, and since then we are in touch. And this time when he was coming, he contacted and we started arranging the seminars, the retreats, the talks. So here we are. Tom, over to you with your life story.
Hi, my name is Tom Elamine, and I'm a breatharian. And a breatharian is a person that can eat very little or none at all. Now, I grew up in Ohio, USA. And growing up in Ohio, USA, I grew up in a family where my mother made sure that we always had food within the household.
Logarth says the only air keeping these people alive is located between their ears.
She made sure so much that we had extra freezers, extra refrigerators, and we actually fed the whole neighborhood. So me growing up in this type of household, when I finally broke away and got my own family and got married, that idea too was in my head to always have enough food to feed your family. And I also bought extra freezers, extra refrigerators, because that was the idea, to always have food available. Now as time went forth, I began to gain more and more weight. And I began to feel very bad. However, everybody in my reality, growing up in America, because it was encouraged to eat the 3 meals a day, however it was the 5 meals a day and the big portions, that was commonplace where I grew up at. So however, I began to gain more and more weight, really feel bad about myself. And then one day, as I had to go see the doctor, my blood pressure began to rise and a whole lot of other things began to come into play. However, one day out of being desperate, I ran into a man who said, won't you just leave meats alone? Now at that time, being desperate and my health really feeling bad, I was willing on doing anything, so I left the meats alone. And at that time, I didn't realize it, but that was the motivation.
Yeah, we can watch that in a second, Dude Spanking Dudes.
To lead me into the pranic journey by leaving those heavy.
Quinby says, I've never heard of 5 meals a day. Some people, I don't do this, but some people think that, and I don't know if there's anything necessarily wrong with this, think that like 5 smaller meals throughout the day is better than 3 meals. It, you know, as long as you're hitting your macros and you're not overeating, you're probably fine. I don't know. I'm not a nutritionist.
your foods alone. So not only I left the meats alone, I began to also put an exercise routine in my lifestyle. And then I began to learn more about holistic foods, being more vegan, learn more about live and raw foods. But then it got good. I started learning more about fasting.
This guy's boring. 80 Blue says, I've done 5 meals a day and it helped me. Not for everyone. Yeah. Just depends. This lady says 6 weeks of breatharian lifestyle. Eden Pranic Center. Oh god.
Hi, I'm Rolie and I'm here in the Eden Pranic Center. I'm still here, I might add, because I came here in February for the breatharian process with Nicolas and Rafaela, and it's now middle of March, so I was really happy to be able to extend my stay.
Have I covered transvestigations? Yeah, a long time ago.
For a few weeks, so that means that I'm now almost 6 weeks on liquid, and I feel so amazing. I feel light and energetic, and it's been an amazing experience to be here, and I'm really grateful for it. And this is my testimonial. So I think, breatharianism, the pranic lifestyle, pranic lifestyle is still something very.
I gotta find better breatharian shit for Cult Watch because these people are boring. We already did that one. We just did. There's so many things on this wheel. Oh goodness. Targeted individuals. I feel like that's gonna be hard too. Let's watch these cats quick.
Hello guys, so I just wanna share guys because I just wanna break my silence guys, and I will not share this story ever again guys. Only this only this time, guys, and I will not do any video about this kind of story, guys. I just wanna share, guys, and spread the awareness, guys. So we will start now. So guys, I'm a targeted individual, and
I gotta find a different one. Targeted individuals are people with delusions that think they're being stalked by a lot of people. They think there's some conspiracy following them or whatever. Or that they're being Truman showed or similar. Screw it, we'll watch the Vice thing on it.
This has many names: gang stalking, mob stalking, community stalking. You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening.
First, The Guardian revealed the National Security Agency is collecting telephone records of millions of Verizon customers.
You can surveil someone through their phones, through their, certainly through their television sets.
For the last year and a half, he's been systematically followed by a group of people.
Does the FBI use drones for surveillance on U.S. soil? Yes.
New Associated Press investigation shows that the Bureau has its own little Air Force with scores of planes flying over American cities, recording video and tracking cell phone conversations.
That's a different thing, though, right? Like, I think we all recognize that the government monitors shit that they should not monitor. But that's a different thing than gang stalking, though I assume Vice is just showing this stuff to show how people can get a fostered sense of paranoia because of the way things are.
He has a man outside of his house in a hood, like basically like a hood that looks,
Well, this almost sounds like gang stalking or something. Have you heard of that?
Many of the things that victims of gang stalking describe are also symptoms of mental disorders.
We're not having a group hallucination. This is actually something that's happening.
I grew up with my parents. My mother was a medical doctor. My father was a former rocket scientist turned teacher. I grew up with a desire to be a graphic artist. And then I didn't like school very much, so I joined the Navy. And I did that for a couple of years. Didn't like that too much, so I came back to LA and basically lived in Los Angeles as a homeless man, just living on the street. I had my truck with a shell, and I worked as a handyman or construction jobs that I would get. The gang stalking experience started for me when I noticed these black SUVs and other police vehicles driving slowly along the street, but they never came up to me or said anything. And then I had 7 or 8 helicopters hovering directly over my apartment, and then it goes, and it keeps happening, and it begins to dawn on me.
You're in a major city. I imagine there's a decent amount of air traffic all the time. Again, it's just sad. It's paranoid people who are probably suffering from like paranoid schizophrenia or some related disease, mental illness, whatever, and don't understand it, or if they're even told like, hey, you should probably get help because this seems like a delusional thinking, they refuse to believe it. It's quite sad.
Me that something is going on, and this continued on. Here comes the gang stalking helicopter. Here it comes.
It's just a helicopter.
It's
Helicopters
confusing
get
to
used for all
humans.
sorts of reasons, for weather and policing and stuff like that. In certain areas, it's used for transportation even. Like, helicopters exist.
Trying to understand gang stalking. Why would they do this to me? Why would they do these weird, petty little things that, you know, may even just irritate me at some moment? If you were to ask me what gang stalking is, it's a way to slowly kill people using their own decisions. See, we're getting one of our friends here. I get to see, I don't know if you can hear that on the audio, but we're getting a buzz right now. And on certain topics that I'll bring up, I'll get buzzed.
My understanding of gang stalking is that a number of people have found each other on the internet who believe that they are being targeted for harm. So there's this concept of hypervigilance, right? Which is that your threat assessment centers get locked into a position that is too high. They're warning you all the time about things not necessarily untrue, but that you would feel better not worrying about. Being of the opinion that you had to constantly look around and figure out what might be threatening to you, or else your life would be at stake, would lead to you not just seeing connections that weren't there, but erring on the side of safety when you see a connection that might or might not be there.
I'm a self-taught makeup artist, and depending on the list that you look at, probably one of the top 10 makeup artists in the world. I think that just my life experience, me being around famous people all the time, what paparazzi photographers do to them, what normal people do to them if they go out in public, there'll be a gang-like reaction. This is essentially the same thing, except it's not, I didn't ask for it.
Okay, but for them it's real. It's so sad.
In my experience, it started over a year ago.
Like, no one thinks to themselves, I'm and a group of people are gonna start stalking, you know, even if you were the number one Hollywood makeup artist in the world. Why? For what purpose?
I had rented a space in Hawthorne, California, and people warned me that as a gay man, you know, it was maybe brave of me to rent this space. I never think about things like that. I didn't know what it was called. Like I said, I just thought that it was bullying. I just thought that it was, you know, people that were just like, get the faggot out of the neighborhood or whatever. When 20 or 30 cars are hazing you on the freeway, behind you, in front of you, on both sides of you, completely controlling how fast you go, whether you exit, whatever you...
So he just thinks LA traffic is him being stalked. No, it's LA traffic. It's terrible. But it's not targeted at you.
This is something bigger than that. I started spray painting their cars on the freeway. I pepper sprayed them. At this time, it was trying to get them to call the police. That's what...
Okay, so at this point, he's now pepper spraying innocent drivers. Oh, God.
What I was trying to do. I had no other way, I felt like, other than to find out, are these people together? Are they working in this one collective group for the same reason?
Robert Morley says, check out this guy. One second, let me check this link. Oh, okay, Vilified Freedom does these. He does some of the sovereign citizen stuff that I cover.
Here's deal with directly over my house.
They've cut back on their resources now. If I go and travel outside of my house, they gotta spend more jet fuel.
You hear how loud that is? That's what I gotta deal with every day. Every day, sometimes 30, 40 times a day. That's the noise I gotta deal with directly over my house every single day. No, it is not in the flight path. Isn't it odd, folks, that every time I take a picture of planes, it's the same exact planes every single time? It's the same planes. It's the same Salt Air Leasing. That never changes. If I was in the flight path, guess what? Every plane that goes to Hickory Regional Airport...
Someone had a laugh track. Whoever uploaded this. I don't know.
...would come over my house, but guess what? They don't.
Stop it. Get some help.
And no other planes fly between 900 and 1,100 feet over my home. You can hear the car revving up going down the road.
Lord Necro Jay-Z says, hit 100,000 channel points, 900,000 till Danzy.
Okay. Horns nonstop. Just outside, trying to enjoy my backyard.
What's wrong with you?
Trying to get my houseboat done. Constant harassment.
Wing the Ultimate Nug says, it's infuriating because the government legit does this, but only for indigenous people trying to get some control over their land back or big leftist grassroots leaders. Hydrate. Cut.
Here. Ring. All for fun. Anyway. And I love the comment somebody said, oh, I'll never get you to build me a fence. I put a fence up to slow down gang stalkers because I'm terrorized. My family's terrorized. So I put up a fence. And how much does that fence cost me, Mason? None. Actually, the fence paid us money because we made money when we recycled part of the fence. So yeah, I got paid $40 to put that fence up.
You'll have to excuse my friend.
He's a little slow.
These computer commandos, they're the lowliest of humans. I doubt most of them are even human. They sit in their dark, deep basement, mommy and daddy's house.
How can I make myself feel better today? I'm not much of a man. I can't kill a girlfriend, so let's try to make someone else feel bad. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah, I've never accomplished anything in my life, but my goal today is going to, who can I pick on, make me feel like I've got more than the microbes God born me with. Amazing.
Hilarious. Fun. Anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. We're struggling here as always, because we always struggle. Being a terrorized person, that's what happens. Anyway, God bless you.
That's incredibly sad.
Against the enemy, we are...
It's like the gang stalkers like your underwear.
Good day.
He hurt my legs because he didn't have any legs. Are we being assaulted because the perpetrators don't have a heart? They don't have a conscience? They don't have legs? What's wrong with these people? I quickly summed up my situation mentally. I didn't know who he was. I knew if I called the cops, it was the psychopath's word against mine. I still didn't have proof of what the black box was, except in my own mind. I walked away defeated again. This is our national rally. Today we are not defeated. We are here for this cause and we are going to solve this.
Right.
And with stuff like this, we're gonna get them.
Right.
So I need all of you to look at this and watch for this. Right. And somebody's when they're harassing you, let me explain. I know that this black box is called the Ravenclaw.
I agree the editing is annoying, I'm sorry. Logarth says, anyone else smell toast, or is it just this video making me have a stroke?
It's manufactured by Raytheon. My neighbor played recordings of ravens when he assaulted me for 5 long years. 5 years of ravens. Mimicking my every move and harassing me with the noise campaign in every part of my home, my office.
One second, I'm starting a new folder for these.
What they'll do to a particular person in order to stress them out is they'll hit them with the same thing over and over and over again. I would get Los Angeles Police Department vehicles lighting up their sirens and not pulling me over, but zooming around me, almost like a continual tactic. This happened so much that I was inspired to buy a dash camera.
I believe it was the very next day, and it was the first time I experienced what I know now is called street theater. And I watched the parking lot literally fill up with cars. And, you know, heterosexual couples would hold hands and like stroll through the back of the parking lot like they were on some 1950s sitcom.
Does he not think people hold hands?
People that are trying to look incredibly normal.
They're just being normal. Oh, this is sad.
Look incredibly abnormal because they're acting. It's not authentic. That was when I first started thinking, it's all of them against me. This is clearly a collective, organized, whatever is happening.
If a conspiracy is a bunch of people working together to do something that they don't want publicized, then it would be absolutely wrong to say that the world is not filled with conspiracies. The question is, what does it do for you to spend a lot of time thinking and feeling about the conspiracies that you believe exist?
Government has to know about it. How can this can't be like some rogue group operating, you know, some shadowed thing and nobody knows about it.
I go to the Van Nuys Police Department, I walk in, I say, this is my ID, this is my name. Are you following me or do you have any knowledge of me being followed? Is there a reason for you to be followed, sir? No, there's not, but people are. Who's following you? Well, I don't know who it is. Well, what are they driving? They're driving cars with dealer tags that you can't trace. Well, sir, there are a lot of dealers here. There are a lot of dealer tags. How do you know that they're following you? Very quickly, you see how crazy you sound. I've never been arrested. I've never had a DUI. Anything whatsoever. Whoever is in charge, which is so weird, is spinning this web about what a deviant, immoral, less than a human being you are. That's the only thing that I can think of that would get that many people in this collective effort to get rid of you.
This happens to you enough, believe me, you will feel stress.
This guy
you will get that.
Says call a shrink to evaluate him. Well, he would have to consent to that. Like, you can't force people into mental health care. Even, like, when you can get psych holds on people, it's 72 hours max in the United States, usually. So, like, it's just hard to get people the help they need if they don't want to seek it out themselves. Kirthan says, knowing how bad the paranoia feels when I have to use a disabled parking placard or a mobility aid for my disability, I cannot imagine functioning like that 24/7, but they can't even seek help because the therapist could be, quote, in on it. I know. It's really, really sad.
A feeling of helplessness. This is not just like a gang of random people just doing this for, you know, like randomly or without a plan. This is procedural.
The psychiatric definitions of delusion tend to focus on really two principles. One is that the ideas that you have are not very vulnerable to evidence. The other is that people in your culture don't share your beliefs. The question becomes, if you can find 10,000 people on the internet who believe the same thing as you, is it a delusion? Is it bizarre? Quite possibly not. If everybody believes this stuff, how is it in any way insane?
People just would not believe the suffering that people in this community endure every single day.
I've lost just about all of my friends. They're afraid to talk to me. They just think, they think it's very effective. They think I'm crazy.
My family doesn't know anything about it. I don't say a word to them. I don't know if my son knows, and I don't want anything to happen to him.
Kath the Psychic says, it's so sad because especially today, many people would accept him, not reject him, whether they are gay, straight, bi, etc. Especially, he lives in LA, which, you know, I'm not saying there aren't areas of LA where, you know, it might be harder to be gay. I don't know a ton about it. But, like, in terms of the United States, relatively speaking, it's a pretty progressive area. It's just a shame that his paranoia, which is to no fault of his own, it's something's going wrong with his brain, is causing him to feel this persecuted, you know? He feels like he's being followed around all the time, and that's scary. Even though it's not real, it's real to him. I'm gonna turn the air off, it's getting a little chilly.
Really the most important thing that we can do for victims is to connect them with others who understand what they're experiencing, because no one else will. And isolation is really a key weapon that these perpetrators use to bring a person down to the ground, basically.
If you go to see a psychiatrist, let's say it's the first time you're meeting a psychiatrist, and you say, I'm under police surveillance, then the psychiatrist will write you off as suffering paranoid schizophrenia, and then he will give you medication. So we must assume that this is what American society believes, that all these government agencies, which normally watch over people, don't actually watch people at all. If anybody think that...
Okay, the government absolutely watches people, but they need a reason to do so that's in their interest, right? Whether you're a criminal, or if you're like a political dissident, or if you're, you know, even someone who's maybe, I could even stretch it as far as like you're gonna harm someone who's rich or powerful. I could see those, you know, things being, but if you're just random Joe Schmo, why would the government waste time and resources following you? That's the point. It's not saying that the government never monitors people, never looks at them. It's about the fact that they have no reason to do so to you, and certainly not in the ways that you are describing. Logarth says, I would love to infiltrate this group and just study them. I'm 110% sure anthropologists already do that kind of thing. Imagine the research papers you could produce with that kind of hands-on field work. I would have no idea.
They are being watched by this government agency, then they must be crazy. It cannot possibly be true.
There really is no help at the moment officially to assist target individuals. They can't go to the police, they can't go to the FBI, they can't go to Congress. There is nowhere that they can go. We are having to create the issue and also the solution.
Why isn't our nation listening? This could be them. I wouldn't be surprised if most of the nation is under mass mind control.
Given that the world is filled with groups...
I wonder how many of these people like a Call for an Uprising's YouTube channel. Mike Mack says, not to be mean, but many of them and us are not worth being watched. Yeah. People are just, like, you're random individual people. The government doesn't care. We're peons to them. Like, there's no reason to waste time monitoring you.
Groups of people operating in secret or trying to divorce us from our money or our power or whatever they want from us. One thing that might be helpful to ask from a psychiatric point of view is, what's wrong with the rest of us? So why am I so relaxed? What's wrong with me that I don't feel I'm being gang-stalked? And is it that I'm living in the matrix where in order to feel more comfortable, I have decided to simply ignore a lot of the evils in the world and a lot of the potential threats to me?
Okay, so what we're seeing here is this scene where the Keanu Reeves character climbs out of the battery vat chamber. You can't see, you know, precisely what it is because of that loss of focus.
Mike Mack says, everything can be learned from social media, so spy on these people is pointless. Yeah.
but you can definitely see that something is abnormal. As you look into it, I drew a picture of what the shapes of those claws are. It looks like a bird talon or a reptile talon. I started searching on conspiracy type movies, UFO movies, weird.
Get the 4K Blu-ray edition. You can probably see it more clearly, and don't watch it on a tiny laptop screen.
Movies on YouTube. I came across the reptilian shapeshifter subject.
They're on to us.
What I can confirm is that there are apparently non-humans, apparently some of them are extraterrestrial, and apparently they have some kind of evil grip on our world.
For the record, we're extra-dimensional, not extraterrestrial.
Richard Bruce here, and if you haven't seen my channel before, this is gang stalking for reptilian shapeshifter movie uploads to YouTube.
When I uploaded my study, within 15 minutes, helicopters kept zooming over my apartment like there was a drug bust in my...
Alexa, play Smash Mouth, says, QAnon doesn't even need to exist when this kind of delusion is prevalent. I mean, it weaponized it, so...
building. And then it didn't take me long. I think it popped into my mind pretty quick. Oh my God, is this from what I uploaded to YouTube? Because the whole thing was so freaky at first. Like when you're seeing these non-human features, you're like, oh my God, what is this? What could possibly be going on?
They're carnivorous. They are not friendly to mankind. At least the ones that are here.
Mike Max says, the royal family are werewolves because it was said on Doctor Who, and if it's online, it must be true. That's true. Would people go online and lie? Why would they do that?
Never say eat humans. Yes.
When I told my family about this, it's almost like I get like a non sequitur reply from a computer. It's like they just kind of look at me like I'm not even hearing this, and I'm really not interested in that.
Because they're probably uncomfortable discussing with you your delusions, which is unfortunate. It would be good if they were more open, like, hey, we feel that you're experiencing some paranoia, but maybe they've tried in the past and it didn't go very well. Ashley Annie 67, thank you for subscribing for 4 months, says, hi Hannah, first time catching you live in a while. Hope you're doing well. Thank you. Tucker White says, why is it people's evidence pretend there was any for a moment for lizard people and its shit is always the blurriest, grainiest stuff? Because it's only possible to see lizard people in grainy footage. It's just a fact of our existence.
My father, the rocket scientist, the doctorates in mathematics, when I tell him anything about this, one of the main points of discrediting me is saying that you just have to be negative and dark about everything. You have to, because of your own dissatisfaction at being unemployed. I mean, that's a highly, it's an understandable point.
That's a really bad reaction to your kid coming to you with their delusions. That's terrible.
View. It's like somebody who's disgruntled with life in general might flock to an idea, yeah, there's evil reptilians doing it all to us, and that's why I'm so miserable, or whatever,
Nobody wants to be called crazy. It's one of the worst things you can imagine. I don't think I or any psychiatrist would recommend that people are convinced that what they believe is not true. The more useful target would be what pain are they feeling in their life?
At least if I can do anything, if I can achieve anything by exposing this issue to the general public, it could be that it takes away these criminals' right to destroy people's lives with this, because it's terrible what's happening to people. I mean, what kind of a country do we live in where you can't say certain things or do certain things without our own government using these subversive, underhanded tactics to drive you crazy?
You're in the middle of this ridiculous, irrational impossibility that is real and is happening and is stranger than fiction or anything that you can imagine. And it's just terrifying. Fuck. I don't want to start crying. It pisses you off. It frustrates you beyond anything that you can imagine. And it changes you.
We could see it from everything: the fluoride in the water, the chemtrails, the fake education system, the fake
Logart says that actually really kind of makes me think, how do these people hold jobs, and do they trust the government enough to take Social Security for disability? I don't know. I think a lot of people like this probably do end up losing their job and aren't able to hold one, and they end up homeless, and it's very sad.
medical system. I mean, when are we going to wake up and stand up and fight? As the scripture says, how good is it for brethren to be together? Meaning, how good is it for people who truly trust each other and are friends to be together?
Sad. Very sad.
I got my peaches out in Georgia.
Hydrate. The profane priestess says, not to be this person, but I feel like this is exacerbated by capitalism. We know the government makes people disappear. We know they harvest our data. We know there really are people who manipulate the whole world for benefit. If you're not careful, I can see how one might believe in this kind of gang stalking. Yeah. You couldn't hear me over the music? Sorry. Is there anything else I want to look at before we call it a day? Okay, that's probably good for the day. Yeah. Let's see who we can raid, shall we? Someone sends a link. What's this? I don't want to watch chuds. Not right now.
By uneducated workers without people
I'm not
with
gonna
peasants
mod
without
you.
formal education in Spain.
All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening.
Wait, no,
I
this is
hope
just,
the
is
rest
this
of
like
Liv's
a
stream is
copy
good.
of- This is what every
Hey, have a
Assange
good night,
viewer
and come back
does.
tomorrow for Tinfoil
That has to
Tuesday.
be
It'll
it.
be a good one. So, see you
That's
guys
the
later.
conclusion
Have
I'm
a great night.
making. I do get how if that was all of my chat, I would go insane. Because that's basically all of